Greetings, race fans, and welcome to Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on Slow Motion Broadcasting. JR Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner, Avery McDonald, and tonight's producer, Mike Braun. And tonight's round 2 of SRG F4 action brings us to the Tsukuba circuit, located in the suburbs of Tokyo, Japan. Tsukuba, past host to Japanese F3 and touring cars, current host to MFJ Superbike, along with a full slate of public and club track days. Today's configuration, just 1.2 miles and just over 2 kilometers. This tight and tricky circuit is marked by a trio of low-speed corners and a long tire-grinding sweeper coming onto the pit straight. So, Avery, these F4 cars, not a ton of power, but high grip and excellent braking. How will these three classes of drivers find a way to get passes done tonight on this narrow and tricky circuit?
Like you said, it's all about, getting a good run. When you don't have a lot of power in a car like this, you have to get good runs through the corner. I think you might see some passes in turn 9, which is the final corner of this short little track, and then turn 1, but you have to be really good through the last portion of the tracks, 5, 6, and 7, where you carry a lot of speed through there. So just it's a momentum-based car. I was driving this car earlier today, JR, and I tell you what, I would love to drive this more often. It's a great car and always puts on a good show, and we have a great group of drivers on a great group like Slow Motion Broadcasting. I'm expecting a great show today.
Yeah, and as we were talking prior to the broadcast about how this car is kind of the spiritual successor of that old Star Mazda, and I definitely enjoyed driving that. Have not wheeled one of these yet, but it's definitely tempting after watching last week's broadcast and watching these guys out there today. It looks like they are having a good time, and like any momentum car, these cars do have some downforce, but as we said, not a lot of power, only 160 horsepower 4-cylinder in these little puppies. They are quite light, but they are still momentum cars, so you got to be careful not to overslow, have to be super precise on turn in, and as you'll see a couple of these guys struggling out here occasionally on some of these low speed corners, it can be a struggle to get these cars woed up. We've seen some lockups here in practice, so they will have to be careful on the brakes as well. And looking up and down our timing tower, very tight here so far. Looking at these practice times, our top 18 drivers, Avery, separated by only about 9/10 of a second. So a very competitive field here, and it'll be interesting to see them scrap. And folks, if you are not familiar with this series, perhaps joining us for the first time, another interesting bonus of these cars out in the iRacing wild public servers, they can be a little on the fragile side, and Sim Racers Group has addressed that by having damage off here. So you might see some of these cars shedding body panels and losing wheels and suspension pieces, and the little iRacing anti-gremlins are going to rush out and repair these cars. So damage not going to be an issue here, which I think will kind of let the racers relax a little bit about a little bit of wheel bumping, a little bit of close side-by-side racing, and minor, hopefully, contact. So be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I like that. And another thing I like is coming here into turn 9. As you see on your screen, Christopher Cook in that 322 car. It's so much fun. You're right on the edge, because you have to carry a lot of speed through there, but you don't want to have to be letting off the throttle as you exit the corner. And then you go on board into turn 1, hard braking, early apex here. And then you got to get back on that straightaway, go through, I call it the little bends, 2 and 3, and then another hard braking into turn number 4. And just, like I said, get nice on the brake, get a good turn in, and get onto the throttle as early as possible. And then you go through turn 5, pretty much full throttle through there, and then through 6, another easy turn. And then you got turn 7, and then the hard braking in turn 8. And then long straightaway, JR. It's a short track, 1.27 miles or 2 kilometers, and your lap times are in the 52-second range. It's so fast. You can click off laps here so easily.
Holy cow. And Avery almost got through that entire lap on one breath. These laps are quite short as we ride along here again with Chris Cook, and there's the outside view. And Avery, one thing that kind of stood out in watched a couple track guides and watched a couple previous races on this track. The interesting thing is there's a lot of camber in all these corners except for turn 1, and it looked like it might have just a little bit of negative camber there. So it looks like it could be a handful to get that car properly set up and rotated through there. So what was your experience fighting that corner?
Biggest thing for me is I was so used to the rest of the track, and then you go into one and you try to get that car to rotate and motivate through there, and I felt like I was going slow, and then the more I kind of like was back my corners up by just a touch, I was able to gain some momentum and get a good lap time. I think I was running around like a 54, 53.8. So I mean, there's no secret. There's a reason why I'm in the booth, but yeah, I was really enjoying this car. I think I put down like 20 laps before I even knew it.
Yeah, the lap's definitely going to tick by fast. And here we are with Cook. You saw a little bit of a lockup by the driver in front. And yeah, camber not doing you any favors on that tricky entry to turn 1. And let's take a look at the championship standings so far. We're 1 week in, so these are the results essentially from last week. We got Mikovits up top after that P1 last week with 25 points. Stephen Case in P2 and with 23. Velasco with 16. Poborgi with 14. Oladipo 12, and Chris Eggert in 10. And these are the intermediate alien class. So these are going to be the fastest drivers you're going to see out here today. This is intermediate or this is class 1 here. Adrian Lopez picked up 21 last week. Cotcher with 20. Ganesh 16. Corwin 14. De Silva 12 will round out the top 5. There's Chris Cook with 10 and a bunch of nulls below that. And here are your inner 2 standings, led right now by Cardenas with Conway and Posada filling out the podium for that class. So a lot of cars here in the lower class. But, lower doesn't necessarily mean slower, Avery. Look at that timing tower. There's some blue cars scratching at the bottom of the top 10 right now. So pretty competitive field, top to bottom, regardless of what classes these guys are running in.
Oh, I love having classes in a race. It gives you an opportunity to compete against people at your skill level. It's never fun going in the race where you're like 30 car field and you're like 24th in iRacing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be hard to get in a top 20 here. But then when you come into a race like this, you got drivers that are your skill level and you can battle hard and have points accordingly. So I think it's really cool that they've done here, and I'm really excited because that means there's going to be essentially 3 different winners throughout the race. But so everybody's battling for that win. But like you said, Duval in 11th place, and here's Conway in 12th, and I think Conway's got a little more pace out of the car and might be scratching the top 10. Where this is just under 5 minutes to go in practice, so I think he's going to try to get in that top 10 and get a good lap for qualifying.
Yeah, see Duval catching a little wiggle there under power, and I couldn't agree more about the classes. I love events that have multiple classes. I am not just slow, but I'm also old, so it's it's nice to have the extra motivation. Like you said, Avery, I may be running in P20, but I'm battling for a podium position coming down the stretch instead of being cannon fodder for the aliens up front. So yeah, really fun to have the multiple classes here, and a lot of enjoyment for us as spectators and for the drivers as well. So very cool setup here, and I think we're going to have some of the organizers of the league here in the booth a little bit later to talk more about what they've got going on. Pretty interesting stuff. They actually have an indoor facility that is in use right now by some of these drivers that you see on track, so we'll touch bases with them a little bit later as practice winds down. About 4 minutes remaining in practice, and the next thing that's going to happen is all hands on deck, real life group qualifying. And I'm kind of a fan of this, Avery. I'm a real life racer, and I've been in a lot of sprint races, and I cannot recall ever them clearing the track just for me to get my qualifying done. You got to get your qualifying done at the same time as everybody else, and a lot of people kind of complain about it, but I enjoy it, and it's certainly more like real life racing when you're out there with the whole group.
Yeah, when I raced 4-wheelers when I was younger, there was no qualifying. You got a random draw, and that's where you started in the heat race. So I love when you have a car like this and you get into qualifying, and you just got to get the best lap you can and try to limit those mistakes. And it puts on the pressure, because when you have a short race like this, JR, you got to have a good starting spot if you want to get a good finish. It's not always how you start, how you finish, but you got to have a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. Track position is going to be critical here, and making on-track passes is probably going to rely more on just applying pressure and waiting for an error than pulling off some kind of incredible Ayrton Senna move out here. Very tough to get anything done. So qualifying is going to be critical, and we may not have a lot of movement up and down the grid once we get that qualifying grid set. And again, about 2 minutes and change left in these practice sessions as these drivers are finding their line, squeezing out those extra couple of tenths, and getting psyched for qualifying. As Corwin, he looks psyched. He looks like a cannibal looking at a busload of school children right now. Look at that face. I would not want him behind me. He's pushed himself all the way up into P5. So he is one of the faster Inter 1 drivers out there. Just a couple clicks, actually 2 100ths off of De Silva. So Corwin has put himself up in the top 5 with a couple of aliens behind him. So, that look on his face just says speed to me, Avery, I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah. When you get a time like that, that's like the face I'd be putting out there, but really good run there, Corwin. This is the time you want to do it, right when you get to the end of practice, because you have that 15-minute qualifying session to get the fastest lap you can. I'm kind of the guy, I like to go out, and when I have pace, let me be very clear, when I have pace, I try to get the lap right away. And then if I know I got a little bit more pace, I might wait till like that 13-minute mark to come out and just see if I can lay a flyer down. But I'm always under the where I want to get the quickest lap right away, because I know how often I screw up. So,
well, and I'm definitely not an expert in these cars, but I am imagining. I feel like we have a pretty cool track out here, and with a car this light, I'm imagining that it takes a couple laps to get decent temp in these slicks, Avery.
Yeah, 86 degrees is the track temperature right now, so we're pretty cool. 66 in the air. I was doing the 12 hours of Sebring last weekend, iRacing official series, and I was out there when it was 120 degrees track and when it was 80 degrees track, and I really liked the 80 degrees track, so we got pretty much prime conditions for some good fast laps here.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. And you take a look at Glasser here, nice looking purple livery as he's rotating that car. Ooh, gosh, my familiarity with this track is like my familiarity with the confession box, but let's see, slow left-hander, that has got to be turn 4. So bear with me as we push our way through here. And just a little taste of the grass, and you don't want one blade of grass underneath the tires of these things. You see the result right there. So you got to drive precisely, use all the track that you can, but taking a little bit too much there puts Glasser into the green stuff. And I think the session is ticking over right now, so we'll see these guys come out and take a crack at qualifying. And will some of them hang out in the pits and wait for a gap? Will it be a mad dash to pull out of the pit lane and onto the tracks? I'm sure that everybody's going to have their own approach here, so we'll see what we get. And here are your speed results from practice, and my goodness, 52.6 the fast lap. These laps are going to fly by. It is only a 20-minute race, but we're going to get a lot of laps out of those 20 minutes based on those times. And look at that spread, my goodness, down to P18.7, 7/10 of a second separating the top 18 runners here. So very competitive field, and it is going to be interesting to see these little beasties take off like a swarm of mosquitoes off of the start. So just warming up our tires right now, and we'll see if we can get some heaters down here in the very near future.
It's not necessarily do you want to put your time in the beginning or the end, is you got to have clean track, because there's we got a lot of cars, 30 some cars, and it's a 1.27 mile track. If you're a little bit faster than that person in front of you and they're kind of holding you up, then you're going to get a little slower time. So I don't know what you do. Just go out and send it. Just go out there, put everything you can, and hopefully get some clean track and get a good lap in.
Yeah, and tough to find a gap. We have got the technical racing term is a buttload of cars out here, and it's a very small track. So, ideally, you maybe want to sit in the pits, wait for your gap to come around, but awfully tough to do, especially after the cars get a little spread out here. And we see a little side-by-side entry there, and that is not going to be a good lap for either. I don't think anybody has taken the green flag yet, though. We're still on the warm-up. Oh, no, there is a lap. Looks like Cotcher is the first one to set a time of 53.9, and we're going to see those times get significantly lower than that based on what we saw in practice. And there's Case, one of our resident aliens here, almost into the 52s. We'll definitely see high 52s by the time this one's over.
I think the hard part here, JR, is you can sit in the pits and wait for a clear track, but if you really don't have a spotter, I don't know about you, but I always have a hard time reading my F3 box to see when the track is clear enough. So but good job so far by Stephen Case. And then how about Brashear and Hagen up in that 5th and 6th? So really good laps for them. But once you get that first lap in, that's when you can really start pushing, trying to push the pace. You got 12 minutes to go. Push that pace. If you screw up one corner, there's another one coming up next. So just got to keep that mindset of running good times.
Avery, you bring up something interesting. I've been in a couple of public lobbies and had other drivers suggest to me over iRacing comms that I watched the F3 box, and I'm not really sure what they're referring to. So maybe after the race you can clue me in on what that is. And as we're with Meyer now, where is he in the running order? Doesn't maybe not set a lap yet. No, looks like not. There's Hagen. He's pulled off high 53. And these drivers are going to take a little bit to settle in. Obviously, they're about a second off of their practice lap. So the tire's still warming up, and they're still trying to find their space, trying to find their gap, and trying to get in rhythm and get something going. But so far, it is still Case at the top of the order, 53.007. And track is, the sun is out, but the track is still about 82. So, yeah, we're going to see some 52s, Avery, by the time we're finished with this session.
Is busy. I mean, a lot of cars on the track. I mean, by quick mathematical calculations, we got about probably 16 cars on the track. And, so they're getting their times in. I mean, so we're just seeing what they can do.
Yeah, there it is. And I was just, our producer, Mike, reading my mind there. I was wondering what the track map might look like. And there is the traffic that we're dealing with. And again, a couple of cars spitting off body parts. But fear not, the anti-gremlins will be out there to slap those puppies back together. They'll be back underway here shortly. But yeah, that is a ton of traffic. Look at that. And boy, if you did have a spotter, you might be sitting pretty here, Avery. I do see one or two little spaces in traffic there. If you had somebody telling you when to pull out, you might be able to take advantage. But cars clumping up pretty good there. I'm looking at a train, 55, 28, 41, 36, all packed together. There's a train behind 888. And, one of the strategies might be to just try to find a driver in a class higher than you, or somebody that has a little bit more pace than you. Try to follow them around the track, maybe catch a draft, maybe improve your time, and maybe learn something from them, although they have been practicing here for about an hour already.
Yeah, just trying to get their laps in. We've seen a couple cars go off track, and I want to bring a good point up. When you come into qualifying here in iRacing, whether you go off the track, hit the wall, hit somebody, that time will not count towards your qualifying. You need to have a clean lap without any incidents or off track. So that's very important here. You want to push the pace, but you want to use up as much of the track, but not any of it off the track. And then we finally got our first 52 second with Stephen Case. Really good lap there by Stephen, and that's gonna be a tough one to beat. But we got 9 minutes to go here, JR. I think that lap's beatable.
Yeah, I think it is, and we're looking at you, Mikovits. I think he was the fast man in practice and was a little deeper into the 52s than Case, but we are burning off fuel for the next 9 minutes, and theoretically getting faster. The tires are probably feeling pretty good right now, but we do have a little bit of extra weight from fuel that will be going down as we proceed here. And Mikovits, bam, backs me up and throws down a 52.872. And again, such a competitive field, Avery. The top 19 from Mikovits down to Hagen in 19th place, 0.98, so less than a second. The top cover the top 2/3 of the field. So a really competitive group here, and looking forward to see what they can do once the green flag drops.
Yeah, normally there's a commentator's curse, JR, but that time it was the other way around. So
that's the blessing. The blessing.
I know. Yeah, we take it when we can. You know, we usually curse them. Now we're everybody's biggest fans. You know, but I love going on board right now. We're on board here with Rudy here, and getting in the corner, and just it's crazy to see how this fast these cars are for only being 160 horsepower. It does help being a small track, but like we said, it's good to be in the tow, and it looks like he might be having some connection issues. There's a 28, kind of go a little bit wide, and that's going to hold Rudy back a little bit. Rudy has had a time, and I think he's got a good lap coming in.
Yeah, and Avery, I'm assuming, although I may be assuming too much, it's my first time on this call. That are these fixed setup or open setup events here? Anybody? Mike is telling me that Mike is telling me that they are fixed. So so you know, in theory, that's going to kind of even the playing field for the drivers. I'm presuming that they do have some adjustable brake bias in the cockpit. That's probably about all that they can mess with. But as you see these guys dragging that inside front tire going into some of these slower corners, maybe an indication that they need to fiddle with that brake bias a little bit. That out of the box fixed setup may not be ideal as they're lightning and burning off fuel. And bam, oh my goodness. And medic. Hard contact there, but again, no damage. So those cars will both be back underway in a hurry. And Case strikes back. Case putting down a 52.6 now. So we got two drivers in the 52s, and Case opening up almost a 0.2 spread on Mikovits in P2. Poborgi now sitting in P3. Velasco from Lopez, and here comes Chris Cook. Breaks up that stream of red at the top of the scoring tower. He has pushed his way almost into the 52s at a 53.030. Gets past Poborgi. So right now it's Case from Mikovits, from Cook, from Poborgi, from Velasco, looking saucy there in P5 with Lopez de Silva, Shilji Duval, and Oladipo there in P10 as I mangled these names on my first night, and apologize to all. We'll get better as we go along.
Yeah, I mean, tell you what, man, Chris Cook, just really good lap, but now caught a little bit of traffic. So like, he's got to make that decision. Do I just try to keep running where I'm at? I mean, or do you like to slow up a little? But as we go above the helmet, and he's just working his way around the track and down in the second gear. You don't want to lock the tires up. It's very easy to lock the tires up, and got a good corner so far as he goes through the bends, I call them. And then I see a lot of people are locking up the brakes, and you know that's what happens when you come to open qualifying. You may be running a good lap, and then if somebody in front of you either locks the brakes up to spin, that's going to affect your time. So this is what Chris Cook needed. It's a great track, and with just under 5 minutes to go, he's only got about 4 or 5 laps that he can put down here, and this is the time. Use that slipstream, use the tow, and as we come down through it before we get to turn 9, this is going to be a good opportunity for him to get a good lap in this as he takes another green flag lap.
Strategically back out of it a little bit and give yourself a little more base ahead. Looking at the track map, he's got some base behind to play with, so maybe take a breath and set yourself up for a heater on the next lap. And my goodness, there's not just traffic, there's like avoiding the flaming barrels in Donkey Kong coming through some of these little alleys with cars bouncing off of one side and into the other. There's another crash on the left side, and things are getting a little bit messy here, Avery, and I guess that could be the other edge of the double-edged sword of no damage is don't have a lot of motivation to be careful, especially right now.
Yeah, you take a look at Chris Cook. That car, he was going through there, and it was really rotating and motivating through those tight corners and to get through here. But, you know, I love the no damage for a short race like this, because if you make a mistake and you have a fast repair, you're already coming back out and making laps. It doesn't change the way drivers are going to race. For a 20-minute race, they're going to race each other same, whether they have damage or no damage. So I really like it for this kind of race. 20 minutes is the distance, and it just gives you an opportunity to keep driving. I mean, that's the goal when you come to any type of league racing or anything that's a sanctioned event, is just try to go out and get better every single week, because you might be racing against person A and B this week, but hey, maybe if you get a little better, you're going to go against C and D. So, I mean, you're just trying to get better each week.
Yeah, you're right. And with these F4 cars, they can be a little bit on the fragile side. And with a big grid like this, you might start with 25 cars and finish with 10. And I don't think anybody really wants to see that. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of adds to the fun and takes a little bit of the stress out. Just lets these guys get out there, get seat time, and get better driving these F4 cars, because just like in the real world, this FIA F4 spec is the stepping stone out of go-karts and on your way up the ladder towards Formula One. So this is the entry-level car. We try to keep the cost down, try to have a consistent set of regs and fixed engines and so forth. So it's kind of a spec series for beginner formula drivers, and it's really doing the same thing in iRacing. And my understanding is, I haven't been out there, Avery, maybe you can shed some light on this, but my understanding is that these F4 grids on the iRacing public servers have been very full and very popular. So it looks like they're succeeding in getting more people interested in these cars. Oh my goodness. Empo Borgi just gets his lap ruined. He had pushed his way up past Cook into P3. Alatipode pushed past Cook as well. Cook all the way down in P5 after a couple hot laps by those two aliens. We got 3 drivers now in the 52s. Alatipode just 2/1000ths of a second out of the 52s. So with about a minute and a half left, we're getting down to crunch time. If people are going to move up, they're going to have to do it now. So we'll see if any unexpected heaters come out. And there goes one. Lopez has put down a 52.8 from his intermediate number 1 position, and he has split that red smear at the top of the standing. So great lap by him, and he's gone to the pits. He says, this is all I need to show you. Drop the mic, pull in, and he's starting in P3 as things sit right now.
Yeah, if you want to go out there, you got to get another lap, and you already have to be out like right now, because if you cross the start-finish line before that 15-minute timer, you will be able to complete your lap. So as you see, Case, Lopez, they're not a track. So on the left side of your timing tower, you see the colors that are the white that are a little more visible, and the ones that are a little more transparent. Words are hard. The ones that are a little more visible, the darker, the more bold, I guess, they're the ones that are out on track. So the top 4 are sitting in the pits. They're done. They're like, we're good. Now make it top 7. So I don't think we're going to see someone take over the top spot, but anything's possible.
Yeah, anything is, and you're definitely right. And you can see on the track map as well, cars are starting to pile up in there as the session winds down. People realizing that they don't have enough time to get off another lap or being satisfied where they're sitting. And certainly the case with Mikovits, who has ridden JR's commentary blessing all the way up to pole position, barring a miracle time here at the end. And the session is going to be closing here shortly. And folks, we are going to have a standing start here. So I am going to fly through the grid once we have the final qualifying results up for you. And again, I'll mangle a name or two, because as Avery pointed out, words do be hard, but I will do my best to get through the grid for you. And we will do Mo Gooder, and we'll also take a pass through the entire field during the race, so that you can check out your favorite driver on track and check out all these fantastic liveries out here on these F4 cars. So we're going to have that starting grid for you here in just a moment. Looks like maybe a couple cars on track. Or maybe a little bit longer than I thought. Looks like we got 3 cars waiting to cross the line. Looks like that number 6 car is going to be the last one across. Not sure what 48 is doing out there. I did see a sake stand there on the outside of turn 1. Oh, and he has taken the tow. So 6 crossing the line will end the qualifying session, and we'll get that starting grid up for you.
Yeah, before we get to it, Let's have a good race, everybody. I'm excited. And here you go. Oh, look what it's raining. There you go. Starting lineup for you. There you are.
And the rain starts to fall. Forgot to mention that. Oh, yeah, we are on the planet Earth and there is rain. So there is Mikovits next to Case in row 1. It's going to be Lopez next to Poborji in row 2. Oladipo next to Cook. Velasco next to Corwin. Duval next to De Silva in row 6 is going to be Brashear versus Jeff Silgi. And my goodness, these guys just qualified in the dry. They're going to race in the rain. It's going to be Cotcher next to Ganesh in 13 and 14. Van Wagner next to Snyder. Bujak next to Conway. Grunsky next to Chia. Posada next to Trantham. Dan Swanbeck next to Michael Hun in 23 and 24. And taking up the back here, Dan Clark next to Hagen. Meyer next to Leslie. Dillon next to Glasser. Samudio next to Myrick. Suresh Kumar next to Neil Day in the back in row 17. 34 cars out here. A standing start. No traction control. Rain falling on a hot track. Avery, what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, this is great. I love driving and racing in the rain. Just adds another element to this race. You know, I'll practice in really good conditions. Now it's a little bit rougher conditions. But the great thing about it, JR, is you got the coverage here on slow motion broadcasting, and you're going to have this every week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We got a lot of good stuff going on. 7-mile-an-hour winds, 66 degrees, and it is raining.
Oh my goodness. And the rain is falling. And yeah, you're right. I race here in the Pacific Northwest. And if you don't want to drive in the rain, then you don't want to drive, because it is just part of life. There is your pole sitter now, Mikovits. He's going to have the outside line into turn 1. And I'm imagining that these cars are still going to be side by side as we head down into turn 1 for the first time. Looks like the rain is backing off a little bit. Those spring squalls rearing their ugly head, and we are green in the SRG F4. Looks like Mikovits got away well. It's going to be Mikovits from Case. Poborji and Lopez kind of duking it out on the entry to turn 1. We're going to take it nice and easy here, aren't we, folks, through turn 1 in the rain? And so far, so good, looking clean up and down the field. And just as I say that, I see some grass flying up in the background, but up front, Mikovits has held on to P1 as we get our first lap underway. So it's Mikovits from Case, from Poborji, from Adrian Lopez, from Oladipo, and we are underway at Tsukuba.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I just looked at the forecast, and it looked like rain's going to stop, and it's all coming towards the track. So looks like it's going to be a little wet for the rest of the way, but 20-minute race. Try to keep it nice, calm, cool, and collected. And that's what these top groups are doing. Get first lap complete here. And 20 minutes is the distance. So you're going to see maybe 21, 22-ish laps or so. The first lap is a 57-second. That's off of a standing start. So we'll really have to wait a couple laps to see what these drivers are going to do, because it's at that temperature, JR, where it's track temp is like 66 degrees. That's cold. Like, that doesn't mean optimal grip. So, and you're also raining. So, take a look back at the tape.
Yeah, we're going to get a little replay here. There's a minor kerfuffle 3 wide. Oh my goodness. Yeah, good thing there's no damage. Look at those body parts going over the fence into the crowd. Going to have a little yard sale over there after the race. And a little unnatural relations between those two vehicles. Car 3 getting a little friendly there as they disentangle themselves, but again, no damage. Those cars are back underway, and Avery working the radar is telling us that the rain will continue, and there's a little over rotation under power coming out of one of those slow corners, and no traction control. Those constant radius corners, you want to get on the power as early as possible or you'll get swamped, but you don't want to go on the power too early. You see the result there, and the track, folks, was bone dry until the cars got on the grid. So these conditions are going to slowly worsen as the track gets wetter and wetter. And there is a replay of Swanbeck doing a little Swan Lake there, going through that slow corner. There's another car off in the grass as we watch Dan Clark work his way up the sheet here. Let me see where he is currently running P30, and he must have had some kind of incident, Avery. Looks like he dropped 5 positions from his qualifying position, and we've got more kerfuffleage, and this one perhaps predictably messy early.
Yeah, and I claim myself to be a semi-professional weatherman. I go outside and I tell you what it's doing, and that's the extent of my knowledge. So, yeah, it does look like it's raining a little bit harder, and that just makes it a little more chaos. But chaos can be fun, and that's what we're seeing here with some really good racing. And yeah, just it's so tough, man. When you're in the rain, JR, especially, you have to be careful with the rumble strips and the curbs, because what happens when paint gets wet? It gets slippery, and you're getting so used to using the curbs that you got to remember, hey, I need to try to avoid these curbs.
Very much the case here in Portland. One tire touching that paint, and you're going to have the kind of ride that you're not looking for out there. And are my lion eyes deceiving me, or are Mikovits and Case, they do not care about this weather. They do not care that the track is wet. 52.7 already with the full fuel load, 52.8 from Case. So they are undeterred by the bad weather here at Tsukuba, and are putting down the gauntlet. Gap building behind Case now is 2.5 seconds back to P3, who is Puborgi, and another significant gap back to Alapido. So you might have expected in better conditions these cars would train up and try to draft off of one another, but the field's splitting up pretty significantly here early.
Yeah, the track is still, it's in like a wet, dry state where it's a little more damp than it looks like than raining fully, but this is just, they're doing a really good job getting good clean laps in, because like we've seen earlier in this, in the start of this race, if you get a little off track, you're going to go a little flying. You see Hagen there doing a really good job sitting second in his class and trying to find a way to make the overtake here. And it goes to the inside here. Big send. That was really big.
Ooh. Hagen with the dive bomb, and somehow gets that F4 car slowed up, and his next target up ahead is next car in class is Lloyd Conway, and that's a lap car in front of him. That is not Conway, but Hagen, after that nice move, wants to move up into P1 in class. If he wants to make that happen, looks like he's got about a 4-second gap ahead. And again, folks, this is not an enduro. People are going to make something happen. They got to make it happen now. And there goes Case. Watch him stuff it down the inside. Little side-by-side action as he takes it to Mikovits there in turn one. Wow, there is some crazy racing going on right now. And Avery, I'm a little surprised they're able to do this in these conditions. These F4 cars must have some kind of magic going, because these guys are flying, and it doesn't look like the rain is impacting the handling of the car in any way.
Well, the one thing I will say to that is a lot of these corners that they're making these hard passes, turn 1, turn 4, it's wide enough to be, too wide. Is it the fastest way around the track? Probably it's not, but the track's wide enough to where you can make a safe attempt to make a pass, and that's what we saw with Case did. And they made a good pass, and they're side by side, and finally took over the lead through turn 5, because in turn 5 you really don't, unless you're driving a Skip Barber, you probably don't want to go side by side through turn 5.
Oh my goodness. And is that Puborgi there taking a look at Mikovits down the inside on a big lunge? He closed that gap down in a hurry, and there is Dan Clark peeling that car out of the barrier. I think I've seen that car in the grass a couple times here already. So Dan Clark, driving out of my native Northwest, is not enjoying the rain. And as I said, you kind of have to be a rainmeister when you live around here, or you're only going to drive once or twice a year. So we take a look at Glasser now, a little over rotation there, manages to get out of the way. Maybe we'll see if he can disentangle himself from that barrier. But my goodness, a lot of off tracks here. Here's another spinner. My goodness, as we watch Case, and looks like Puborgi getting away here. What? Whoa, wait a minute now. Something happened. Puborgi got past Mikovits and Case, and has built up about a 1-second interval. So we may have to take a peek back and see how Danush was able to make that happen. But Danush scraping the 52s, and we're going to take a look at him right here. And that is him in the 23 car. Oh, contact up front. Just kind of opens the door. Oh my goodness. And looks like a back marker had a problem in front of Case. And Poborji says, thank you, buy you a beer after the race. And he has driven away, at least temporarily, although Case making short work of that gap. He's already got it down to 4/10. And he is going to be, oh, there's a beautiful, some nice camera work from our producers, a replay of that move coming onto the pit straight. But as I said, Case is not going to take that lying down. He is chipped that gap down to 0.6, and behind him, Mikovits has just set the fastest lap at a 52.7, and he's got Stephen Case down to a 0.4 gap. So it is not over up at the front among the aliens, and great racing so far.
With the top 6 or top 7 drivers, oh, big wreck there. Oh, the who will take over for the lead. Top 7 drivers are running dry compound.
My goodness, and Poborji, right after making the epic move and putting himself in a fantastic position, does he get tangled up with a back marker here? We'll take a look at that replay. You see him making progress there with Case behind, and oh, no, that's on him. That was 100% on him. Both there. Case gets a piece of him, knocks his wing off, and whoop, it's back. But Poborji not back. That not dropped him all the way down out of the lead into P6 after he had moved up a couple of positions to take the lead. So that's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, it's raining a lot harder right now. You see the top 6 drivers, dry compound, pretty much the rest of the field on the wet compound tires. And, oh, that just, you hate to see it, but, you know, that's the risk you take. If you can handle the dry tires and you see another car off track, it's probably the right way until it gets to be heavier rain. But we're almost halfway through here, and it's starting to really rain.
Well, and look at those times. I mean, Mike, we could go back to the fast laps with the tire compound showing on our timing tower there. There's about a 3-second fast lap gap between Poborji, the last man on dries, and De Silva, the fastest car on the wet. So the wet's not helping at all here. But Avery, you're right. The track conditions are going to continue to deteriorate. It was barely damp when the race started, and the water is building up, and looks like there's no sign that it's going to drop off. So we'll keep a look at those lap times. But look at that. Yeah, 53.78 for Poborji, and then De Silva with a 56.8. So that's almost a 4-second swing between the dries and the wets for now. But will that hold through the end of the race? We are at the halfway point, about 9.5 minutes left. So that is going to be the story of the second half here. I think Avery stunned speechless, I think, by my last observation there. So, Mike, let's, about 11 minutes in, maybe we should take a quick run through the field and let everybody see their favorite driver on track and check out some of these fantastic F4 liveries. And we'll start with Kalen Mikovits there driving out of Cali. And watch him as he's negotiating some back markers here. And my goodness, the leaders have caught the back markers very quickly. This track, again, only 1.2 miles long, so it did not take long. Move on to Oladapo there in the 234 car, also driving out of Cali. Pretty good looking, almost looks like the old Canon livery there. And here's Stephen Case driving in the 243 with that Tesla there. This is that's interesting. And here we have Alex Velasco in the 777, currently sitting in P4. And that F4 is looking pretty good. Here comes Poborji again, and he's trying to claw his way back through the rain and through the field and make up for his little self-inflicted damage. There's Chris Cook. We talked about him in practice. He was putting down some heaters and doing very well for himself. Currently, that is P1 in the Inter 2. Here's De Silva running behind him in the 480 out of Cali, and De Silva sitting P2 in class currently. We'll on to Joshua Corwin. Crazy Corwin is what I'm going to call him, driving the 037. Gotta love that face, and gotta love that livery he's got going there. There's Jason Trantham in the 2.8 car running in P9. Red, a popular color out here today, as testified by Jason Cotcher there in P10. And that is, we're down to P4 now. Oh, and I skipped, I'm sorry, Trantham there was leading his class, didn't mention that. And Jeff Silge here is running in the 000 car as he disappears off into the mist. There's a look at Adam Duvall in the 8.3. He's sitting in P12, and that is P2 in class. So good drive so far by Adam. There's Daniel Bujak there out of Cali in the 3.6 car. That is he's running in P3 in class. Now Justin Schneider out of Florida in the 3.47. Take a look at Lloyd Conway, another good looking livery there in the 4.47. I like that baby blue and white mix there. Oof, almost saw him get a little taste of that following car, and that is Brashear right behind him in the number 1 car driving out of Cali, and he wants to move up into P15, looking a little impatient, pretty racy right there. Oh my God, and he gets camera shy. He's going to go way wide there on turn 1. Here we are back to Ganesh sitting in P17 in the saintly 666 car driving out of Cali. Now here is a look at Tyler Hagan driving in the 99 car. Pretty good looking livery there. I like the left, right, and the lime green Dylan car driving out of California in the 2.4. He's sitting in P19 currently. Here's Josh Leslie in the 0.45, the red, white, and blue machine out of Cali. A lot of California drivers out here. And here's Ryan Chia showing his MX-5, or is that a was it a Miata or one of those Hondas? Not sure. But anyway, he's in the number 9 car. Looking good here. There is Paul Mircik in the 5.5. Mircik. Thanks, Mike. Running in the 5.5. And here is Samudio in the 34, like the Italian flag colors there. He's also driving out of California. Now we're looking at P24. That's Michael Hun in the 22 car as he makes his way past another incident there. Lots of dirt and grass on the track. And this one here's Greg Meyer. Interesting color combination there. Driving the number 8 Swanback. Looks like we lost him. He might have blinked out. Here's Ken Glasser's car. Adrian Lopez running in P28 in the 007. He is shaken, not stirred, and looks like we are back to Makovets. We left a couple of people out there. Maybe I think we're up to about P28. But as we go back to the action, another 1/4 of the race went by as we were going down the field. We like to let you guys take a look at the liveries and cheer on your favorite drivers. So we run through the field at least once in one of these races. And back up front there is Mikovits. And Mikovits, while I was talking there, driving away, he's developed a 2.2 second gap back to Velasco, who was not previously running in the podium spots. And look at Chris Cook up in P3, the P1 overall in his class, and P3 overall. So Cook putting on a great show, continuing his good drive from practice. So Cook looking good. And Avery, are you live out there?
I'm good. I had a little cough and I had to hit the mute mic. So I didn't want y'all to hear that, but I'm doing great. The one thing I have noticed while you're doing that run through, we had some drivers come in and pit from the dries to the wet tires, and I like the move if you don't think you can handle it, because you're going to lose 25, 30 seconds of time going through pit lane, swapping those tires from the wets. So I like the move, but if you want to win the race, I think you need to stay with the dries, because you can't really afford to lose that time if you can maintain your pace. Like right now, not pace, they're all running around the same lap times, but if you can stay on the track is the main thing. So I see those top 4 with the dries and everybody else below pretty much with the wet. So I do like the move though.
Yeah, interesting. With not a lot of time left, you can see what that cost per Borgi there is, about 27 seconds behind Case. So that's the time that he spent in pit lane and getting those wets on, and boom, there's somebody going off hard there as we ride along with Velasco. It must have been a back marker though, and it looks like Velasco is all over Mikovits at this point, and they are both on dries. We'll stay with this just for a second so we can see what's involved in getting these cars around this track on slicks, and just watch those hands. Got to be ready to grab it quick, Avery, when that car starts over rotating in the rain. Holy cow.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, you see Alex go over to the right there. That's to get out of all the rain flying at you, all the water, all that. There's the issue there. You see with turn 9, it's so tough, man. Like, it's honestly, I think it's the toughest corner. And here goes Velasco to the outside here, trying to make a move for the lead. 2 minutes left to go in the race.
Yeah, tough outside attempt by Velasco, and he's going to set himself up for the inside on the next corner, and look at him fight for grip there, and he gets it done. What a move by Velasco, looking spicy around the outside, but Mikovits not laying down for that one. They're still side by side here, and this one is not over, and Velasco, look at that wiggle there. Holy cow. And another thing going on where they're moving over and driving offline, Avery, is that the asphalt gets polished in dry weather and gets super slippery when it gets wet. And so that's what they talk about, the wet line versus the dry line, something we talk about here in Portland. And that may be the reason why Velasco was able to take that turn 1 as wide as he did, find grip, and get that pass done. So huge move by Velasco with only 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in this one. And he's actually driving away right now. He's got that gap up to 7/10. So good work by him.
Yeah, 1 second faster the last time around was Velasco on that lap. 20 on the round he goes. Oh my, at a round he goes. It is so careful with these dry tires, and Velasco falls to second.
And Velasco, Avery warned you to stay off the paint, and Velasco getting some tires on that painted curbing while he was putting the power down. The car snapped so fast that even the alien Velasco could not catch it. We'll ride along with him now. And yeah, here he is. You see him staying outside there, and whoop, a little too far outside. And my goodness, that is the penalty for getting on the curbing when it's raining like this. And Velasco throws away the move of the day and is now 7 seconds back of Mikovits, who is going to laugh all the way to the finish at this point. My goodness, that is a brutal mistake by Velasco, and you know that's a bitter pill.
Yeah, and Case switched to the wet tires, sitting in 4th. And how about Chris Cook? We talked about him in practice and qualifying, and running 3rd overall, having a really good run. As you see on those dry tires, you see a couple drivers behind him. I can't quite get a number on them. It's not for position, but they're on the wet tires, so they're a little more comfortable with the car or with the tires. So white flag lap, though, man. Oh my goodness, it's been a fun one.
Yeah, and what an epic drive by Cook. He has got 4 alien drivers behind him. He is on the dries, and yeah, there is a wet line here. You see Cook staying away from or Mikovits there staying away from the normal apex. So that inside normal race line, the asphalt's polished down. It's too slippery to drive on in the dries and maybe even in the wet. So Mikovits staying away from the apex. Oh my goodness. And well, he was there and then he was gone. Mikovits didn't have to pull an avoid there, but was heading towards trouble. And that is the checker for Mikovits in the 888. And he withstood. My goodness, he fell down out of the lead a couple times, had huge pressure a couple times during the race, and had that brilliant move put on him by Velasco. But Velasco making the mistake, and Mikovits will cruise to the win. And there is Cook. And did Cook pull a P2 overall there? Oh my goodness, missed something there. So he's P2 overall and P1 in class, and great work by him. And here comes Jason Trantham to take the checker for the win in Inter 2. So wow, what Avery. It's almost feels cruel what happened to these guys today. They had an hour of practice, 15 minutes of qualifying in the dry, and oh, guess what? It's going to rain. And those front runners in the wets, it is coming down out there. That track is soaked, and they made it work. Fantastic stuff today.
Oh, absolutely. And it was known that it was going to rain. That's the other thing. In the schedule they released what percentage was going to be rain. And I love the call for the dry tires. I love a little risky business there, because I think you needed to be on the dries to start the race, because you've seen everybody who had the wet tires kind of fell back a little. So keep that in mind. I think the drivers who made the right call were obviously the top 3 of the dry tires, but they had to maintain their pace, and that was so difficult for them.
Yeah, and it may be a lesson to these drivers going forward. I mean, the drivers in the wet tires never got lap times anywhere near the guys on the dries. So the wet's not working for any purpose here today. It's kind of surprising because it is pouring and that track looks plenty juicy. But Mikovits, Cook, Velasco, they didn't care. They got it done on the wets, and there are your final results. So it's Mikovits, first overall, first in class. Chris Cook, second overall, so he gets a step on the podium and first in his class. Velasco will take P2 in class and P3 overall, followed by Case, Poborgi, and Oladipo. My apologies to you, sir. I'll get that right by next week, I promise. Then we got Corwin, Trantham, De Silva, and Cotcher to round out the top 10. And I blew right past Trantham, who came in P1 in class. And Avery, I'm going to take a quick breath, so maybe you can roll forward with Duval there.
Yeah, Duval, great run, getting in that 11th place. Then Daniel, 12th, Jeff, and then Lloyd Conway, Tyler Hagan, 15th, Ganesh in 16th, Josh Leslie, 17th, and Dylan in 18th, and Michael Hoon in 19th, Paul Mearscheck, and then Ryan Chia, Justin Snyder, Greg Meyer, Thomas Bashir, Rodolfo Samudo, Ken Glazer, Dan Swanback, and Adrian Lopez rounds out that 28th spot. And then we do have, Dan Clark, 29th, Diego Posado in 30th, and then Igor in 31st, Manish in 32nd, Andrew Von Wagner, and then Neil Day rounding out the field. 34 drivers that put on a show here. And the great thing about Sim Racing Broadcast JR is we get to talk to some of the drivers that were in the race. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get those interviews going for you here shortly. But a tip of the hat, definitely to Chris Cook, who pushed all the way up into P2 with a bunch of aliens behind him. And also Jason Trantham. He was the hard charger, Avery. He finished P8 overall, first in class, and moved up 14 from his qualifying position. And in a track that is notoriously difficult to pass, I think Jason probably just kept it chill, kept it clean, and drove past a lot of wrecks to make that happen. But tip of the hat to him. Great work.
Absolutely. Anybody you want to take a chat with first there, JR?
Well, let me see here.
Kaylin, Jason, Diego, and Alex.
There's Trantham. I would like to speak to him. And Jason, I was just giving you a little shout out here on the I got D Jason there. Wait a minute.
We got Jason Trantham.
Oh no, he's in there. Sorry. This is my first day on Discord. My apologies.
No worries.
Jason, just giving you a shout out. You were the hard charger in that one. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. You moved up 14 positions and penetrated the top 10 out of the bottom class in this race to finish in 8th place. And excellent drive. One of the drives of the day for sure. And I believe that you probably pulled off that feat by starting on wet. So why don't you tell us first about your decision, your tire decision, and then just kind of tell us how that race went for you.
Well, according to the weather, it sounded like it was going to be a small percentage of chance of rain and then just maybe be a higher percentage chance. So I thought, well, if it starts out relatively just damp and gets really wet, I'm better off to start with the wets. And I think although it was kind of a tough decision at first, my hope was just that it would start raining more and the people that went on dries would be struggling. And I think the whole time though it's struggling, because even on the wet, it's hard to keep, if it's dry and I'm on wets, I'm struggling to keep pace. And then even once it rains, it's just so slick out there. That last turn was just a big kind of a drift. So I had a few times where the car would kind of snap and slide around, but just trying to really try to be precise and smooth and not make any jerky movements. And I didn't crash. So thank God.
Yeah, well done. And I'm guessing that a lot of those 14 positions were you driving past your competitors who were in the barriers or in the grass. Is that how that went for you?
There's definitely some of those. Yeah. I mean, there's numerous times where people are crashing and I'm trying to make last minute decisions of go left or right and hope I can get through without getting caught in the melee. And so I bumped into a couple people, but nothing crazy. And I didn't get thrown off track, but that was a good portion of it. One of the guys, I think, went to the last turn and I was kind of halfway sliding and someone lost it in front of me. So I'm trying to slow down while I'm already kind of drifting to avoid, mass carnage. But yeah, I think it was just kind of being careful and cautious, not as fast as you want to go, but just keep it from flying off the track.
Excellent. Well, excellent drive, Jason. And again, congratulations on the P1 in class and on the P8 in a fantastic, smooth and safe drive. So as we wrap things up here this evening, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to?
I would say I have to say Alex, because Alex helped me get my having some computer issues today, and he helped get me set up with the headset. So I only had 2 laps of practice today. So if it weren't for that, I probably wouldn't have got any. So thanks to Alex.
All right. Well, could be a lesson in there about over practicing as well. So, all right, Jason. Well, thanks so much for coming by and speaking with us. And thanks again for congrats again for a fantastic drive.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Avery. We took Jason a little bit out of order, but I just had to talk to him about that hard charge. And why don't you check in with your overall winner?
Hey, Kalen, congratulations on a win on a very fun and pretty hectic race, but overall, I know JR and Mike and I had a good time covering it. How was the race from your eyes?
That was the most difficult race I've ever been in. I think just combination of traffic and then the rain. I decided to start the race on dries, and I never went off them. I just thought I could hold it around, and almost didn't. Lucky to get the win here.
Yeah, I definitely think starting on the the dry tires, was the race-winning move, and you did a great job, and we're really excited to be here. I know JR will be here, weekly, and I'll just be filling in every now and then. But man, it was a lot of fun watching you guys. It's such a good event that they put on. Can you give just a little background of how you came to the event or to this group?
Yeah, I just showed up one day on a Friday. I was like, all right, what can we do? Bowling. I searched up some sim racing. Figured out Jason had a shop, and kind of walked in the evening. Told him, I raced a little bit of MX5s, and from there saw me drive around a little bit. So I should join the league. Did the Tuesday league. Did well in that. Moved up to Wednesday. Went from Inter 2, Inter 1, and now Inter Alien. So it's been a long journey. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, before we let you go, anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to Jason again. This place is packed. I think we had like a almost 25 car field. That's amazing. I hope this place continues to grow and get more people to race with, because this is like the highlight of my week.
Awesome, Kalen. That's great. It's always great to have a highlighted week, and it's something that we like to strive to put on a good show for you guys too. So once again, congratulations on the win, and great job managing those dry tires. We'll see you next time, man.
Thanks, Avery. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, JR. Bye.
All right. And next joining us in the commentary booth this evening, Diego Posada. Diego, a little bit messy out there, to say the least. How'd that race unfold from your seat?
Well, messy is probably the best word I would use to describe it. There was a little bit of bumper cars going on at various different places, and it got the better of me, but it was definitely still fun. Very fun.
Yeah, and what was your thinking? The majority of the field went with wets right out of the box. So what was your thinking about tire selection, and were you happy with your decision?
I was happy with my decision. I changed to wets 20 seconds before the race started because of some of the banter that I heard inside of SRG. So I was like, okay, maybe wets sound like the right move. And I think it was not so bad for the first little bit. Compared to some races we've done in the wet where there's like puddles and stuff on the track, this one was much more doable. So I felt like I made the right choice with the tires.
Yeah, really interesting. And it probably felt a little bit more stable and safer out there, but incredibly, the guys up front were still putting down faster laps on the slick, which was amazing. So, congratulations for getting out here and fighting through a very difficult race. And as we wrap up, Diego, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
No, big shout out to Jason, as always, for opening the doors on SRG. I'm one of the people that come inside on Wednesdays, and it's fantastic. Big thanks to Jason.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you, when I heard that a place like that existed, I started looking for jobs down there, because that sounds absolutely fantastic. And I'm actually hoping to visit down there sometime soon. So hopefully we'll see you in person. And thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for everything you guys do as well. Cheers.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers.
who had
There it is.
points.
Hey, Jason, how you doing, man? Congrats on putting on a fantastic show. It was a lot of fun for JR and Mike and I to cover it tonight. Just take us through the event.
Well, I imagine it was more fun to watch than to drive. I'll say that much. And then I hear Kalen and Alex and these guys stayed on drives the whole time, which is just Looney Tunes. I mean, it's amazing the grip that you can get when you heat up those wets. I heard rain was in the air. I debated it because I know you can run on wets or on dries, even on a wet track for a while, but then can you gain the time before you have to pit for wets? I thought for sure you'd have to go for wets. They were teasing me after the race because a couple of seasons ago we ran Okayama and it was dry into wet and everybody pitted for rains and I did not, and I managed to squeak out the win, so they were calling me like master strategist. Now they're using that against me when I chickened out in the rain. So it's tough, but I do love iRacing. I mean, we had a laugh when rain was announced and there were a bunch of people that were like all about it and super excited, and I was a little hesitant because iRacing is going to keep it real, and it's real hard is what it is, but it is real world, and those are the decisions that they have to make, and those are the conditions that drivers have to deal with. So I saw that there were some wrecks already. If the whole thing wasn't a wreck fest, I'll consider it a win. We're an intermediate league here. There's a spectrum of classes and talents, but this is for some of these new kids that are into their first race. I was trying to talk them down out of the tears. It's not always this hard, but a lot of cars, tiny track, tough conditions. I imagine it was quite the show.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a great show, and you come to a fun track like Tsukuba and you had a little bit of rain. I really enjoyed watching it. I mean, I was kind of like you, a little hesitant when it came out with rain, but I love it just because it just adds a little bit to the race. But can you guys give us I mean, JR and I are new to the series, but can you give us a little background of what you got going on down there?
Yeah, so Sim Racers Group is a 10-seat sim racing center in San Jose, California. Opened it October 15th of 2022 after I built my rig in my garage, and a couple of buddies didn't even want to go to dinner with my wife and I. They said, we'll stay here, and we're playing on the sim rig. You guys go do date night. So it kind of lit the light bulb, like, this is popular, this is happening, this is coming on. If I can get a sim center open, I'm probably ahead of the curve. They're certainly opening up all over the place, but if you're interested in sim racing, come on in. We have a rookie league where weather is not enabled, so you won't be tossed into the sharks here straight away. But yeah, bring some friends, jump in, have a go. I've got iRacing commercial licenses, so you can drive anything that you want on the service with your friends. And then you build skills. You want to be a little bit more competitive. Then we've built leagues that you guys know very well. But for those that are new, it's a soccer league. It's a softball league every Tuesday or Wednesday night. Come on by and we'll throw you in. The rookie league isn't a points championship, but we're growing. So rookies is with the Ray Formula Ford. Intermediate has multiple classes in it for the F4 as you watch tonight. And then following immediately tonight is a Super Formula Toyota F2 series, damage on, points on. That's kind of big kid pants time there. But in next season, for season 3, Tuesday nights will be the rookie Ray Formula Ford and the intermediate F4 with damage off. And then Wednesday nights, because F4 has gotten so popular, I'm taking Inter 1 and Inter Alien and forcing them into F3 damage on Wednesday nights next season, and we're looking to get that series broadcast as well. That's the next step up. That's, you start talking about damage on, it's just like racing on the officials. If you crash, you're out. There's a little bit of forgiveness in the rookie tier stuff. You're not expected to be masterclass straight away, but we got the classes building, and then Wednesday of next season will be F3 damage on, as I said, and F2 damage on. So lots of good stuff happening here. We really appreciate the community that props it up. It's their cash, it's their money that makes it happen. And we love slow motion broadcasting. This is the start of our second complete season with them and you guys, and it's great. I mean, the families love it. The wives, the parents, the aunts, the uncles, you can tell them you're a sim racer and they'll give you the yeah. But when you send them a YouTube link, it looks real. You guys make it real. The announcing, the commentary has always been really fun to hear, and gives those that aren't in on sim racing all the time sort of the color and the background and the information where they can follow along and watch their kid, their cousin, their family members, get out there and really dice it up. So it makes it real, and we love you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate having you. It's all about building a community, and it's something you've done very well. And I know for Mike, JR, and the rest of the fellas here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, we really appreciate you. Before we let you go, Jason, anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, this one's kind of tough. At the end of last year, we lost a community member in-house to sudden, unexpected, and tragic circumstances. A lot of the cars are running a black 95 wreath on it. And so this one's a shout out to Billy Peach. We miss you, man, and we wish you were here.
Yeah, Jason, that's the one thing that when you build a community, when times are tough, you get together, and whether it's in a Discord channel or out at your place, it's all about getting together and getting through tough times. So we really appreciate you coming in here, and thanks again for choosing Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Always, guys, looking forward to a great season and more seasons and more leagues in the future. We're growing all the time. You guys are a big part of that. We appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, that was Jason Cotcher. And yes, you heard right. There is a brick and mortar sim rig facility run by Sim Racers Group where you can go in with your friends, sit next to each other, and go to war on iRacing. And it sounds like an absolute blast. So as we wind up here, stand by and let's take a look at things coming up on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification icon so you don't miss any of the action. Tuesdays at 9:10 Eastern, we have got the American Muscle Series, and look at that Mustang. You can almost smell that burning rubber. Be sure to tune in for that one. On Wednesdays, the doubleheader Ray Esports will bring you Formula V and multiple cars. Sorry, I completely lost there. But Wednesday, we have a doubleheader. We've got great racing 7 nights a week as we go through the upcoming schedule. Again, don't forget to subscribe. And Sunday, the Weekend Warriors series, we have Formula V. We've got the Formula Ford 1600 and the SRF series Spec Racer Fords. These are fantastic stuff. And if you like the dirt, we can get dirty with you in the Cross Series League Racing, and that is Sunday at 8:10 Eastern. So man, oh man, what a fantastic race, Avery. That was just phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to the season. And folks, thank you so much for joining us for today's broadcast. Sim Racers Group, Formula Ford. We have got action 7 days a week here in SMB. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification icon so you don't miss anything. And I am JR Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner Avery McDonald, our producer Mike Braun, and everyone here at SMB, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are.